Technology was supposed to make us smarter. Instead, it just gave stupidity better Wi-Fi. From the moment humans met gadgets, complaints have only evolved faster than logic. So grab your charger, silence your inner tech support, and prepare to question whether the real glitch is us. 1. Blindly obeying her GPS led one Belgian woman to sue the manufacturer after she followed its instructions right down a boat ramp and into a lake. She continued for about 100 feet into the water before her car finally gave up. Upon being rescued, she didn't blame her own spectacular lack of judgment. Instead, she claimed the navigation device was simply having a bad day and was the one at fault, asserting that the technology, not her own brain, was what malfunctioned. 2. The fundamental laws of physics were apparently optional for one customer who complained to an appliance brand about his new microwave. His issue wasn't that it failed to heat food, but that it couldn't instantly make his hot coffee ice cold. He was genuinely furious that the machine wouldn't reverse its function, demanding to know why they sold a one-way device. He even suggested they add a cold button, completely missing the entire concept of how microwave ovens actually work. 3. Paranoia hit a new level when a smartphone user complained on a tech forum that his device was stealing his thoughts. He wasn't concerned about data privacy. He was furious that the predictive text feature kept suggesting the exact words he was about to type. Instead of seeing it as a helpful algorithm, he accused the phone of mind-reading and demanded a way to shut off its psychic surveillance before it uncovered his secret family recipes. 4. The empty cyan ink cartridge in his printer wasn't just an inconvenience. For one man, it was an act of corporate treason. He filed a formal complaint because the machine refused to print a simple black and white document. He didn't just call it annoying. He described it as a blatant violation of his right to print and accused the company of being a greedy cartel. In his mind, his inability to print a shipping label was a direct attack on American freedom. 5. Achieving too realistic graphics turned out to be a major design flaw, at least according to one gamer who demanded a full refund for a popular survival horror game. He didn't cite any bugs or story issues. His complaint was that the monsters were so lifelike and the atmosphere so immersive that he couldn't sleep for a week. He argued that the developers had a moral obligation to make the game look worse to protect his fragile nerves and sanity. 6. Some household gadgets just don't have a good work ethic, or so one man claimed when he complained about his lazy and insubordinate robot vacuum. He insisted the device would intentionally avoid the dirtiest parts of his home and would often stop in a corner just to sulk. He even tried yelling commands at it like a disobedient pet, demanding a replacement unit that was more motivated, failing to grasp it was a machine, not a disgruntled teenager. 7. That frustrating ducking autocorrect error wasn't just a glitch for one woman, it was proof of a targeted campaign of digital harassment. She tried to sue her phone company, claiming the feature was a malicious AI intentionally trying to ruin her career. She insisted it would change professional words into embarrassing slang every time she texted her boss, providing screenshots as evidence of its malicious intent, and demanding compensation for emotional distress. 8. The sun itself became the target of a formal complaint at a Florida resort, all thanks to a tourist and his new tablet. He was outraged that the excessive glare from our local star made it impossible to see his screen while lounging by the pool. He didn't just ask for an umbrella, he demanded that the hotel management do something about the sun, suggesting they either turn it down or build a giant property-wide dome to block it out. 9. Getting emotionally abused by a bathroom appliance sounds impossible, but that was the exact reason a woman gave for returning her new smart scale. The device worked perfectly, but she was horrified when its companion app sent her a push notification saying, "You've been inactive for a while, how about a quick walk?" She took this not as a helpful nudge but as a direct personal insult, writing in her complaint that the scale was judgmental and had created a toxic environment. 10. For a staunch flat earther, the biggest problem with GPS technology isn't signal strength, it's the blatant globalist agenda. Tech support received a complaint from a man who was furious that his new navigation unit displayed the Earth as a globe. He demanded an immediate software update to show a flat plane map, accusing the company of pushing scientific lies. He argued the spherical model gave him inaccurate directions because it failed to account for the giant ice wall in Antarctica. 11. Imagine complaining that your new top-of-the-line computer is just too efficient. An office worker filed a formal IT ticket because his upgraded machine was so fast that applications opened instantly. He was genuinely upset that he no longer had the 2 to 3 second loading time he used to have, which he claimed was his perfect window for taking a sip of coffee or stretching his fingers. His official request was for the IT department to find a way to slow the computer down to a more humane and productive pace. 12. The rise of smart speakers has led to some truly bizarre domestic disputes, but one complaint stands out for its sheer audacity. A woman called customer support, absolutely furious that her smart speaker was siding with her husband during arguments. Whenever they'd ask it a factual question mid-fight, like a sports statistic or a movie release date, and it provided an answer that proved her husband right, she accused the device of being biased. She insisted it was eavesdropping and demanded a firmware update for marital neutrality. 13. Software updates are supposed to improve things, but for one user, a simple icon color change was an act of war. After his favorite app updated, the main icon on his home screen shifted from a shade of blue to a slightly different shade of blue. He proceeded to write a multi-paragraph, one-star review claiming the new color was a violent assault on his senses and had completely destroyed the digital feng shui of his phone. He felt personally betrayed and swore off the app forever unless they reverted to the original superior blue. 14. Selfie culture reached its peak of absurdity when a man tried to return his new high-end smartphone because its front-facing camera was, in his words, too honest. He complained that the high-resolution lens captured every single pore, wrinkle, and minor imperfection on his face with brutal clarity. He wasn't looking for a realistic photo. He was looking for a flattering one. He accused the manufacturer of selling a camera that was detrimental to his self-esteem and demanded a model with a permanent, non-optional beauty filter. 15. Even dental hygiene isn't safe from technological misunderstandings. A customer service agent for a premium electric toothbrush brand fielded a complaint from a man who was upset that the toothbrush didn't know where his teeth were. He genuinely expected the smart device to automatically move from tooth to tooth on its own, like a tiny dental cleaning robot. He was just holding it in one spot, waiting for it to begin its autonomous journey, and complained that it was defective because it still required the manual labor of moving his own hand. 16. The owner of a new consumer drone lodged a complaint with the manufacturer after his first few flights ended in disappointment. His issue wasn't with the controls, the camera, or the battery life. He was angry that the drone couldn't carry a cold bottle of beer from his kitchen fridge to his lounge chair in the backyard. He argued that the promotional videos showed the drone flying gracefully, implying it should be able to perform simple delivery tasks. He called it deceptive advertising and demanded a beverage transport-capable model. 17. Sometimes, a product name can be a little too literal for some people. A man returned a brand new pair of Bluetooth headphones, complaining that they were a scam. His reasoning was flawless in his own mind. He had searched the entire box and inspected the headphones thoroughly, but he couldn't find the Bluetooth anywhere. He assumed it was a tiny physical blue component that was missing from his device, and without it, he was convinced the wireless technology simply couldn't work. 18. A very early adopter of a virtual reality headset filed a complaint that his immersive beach simulation was fundamentally flawed. While he praised the stunning visuals and realistic sounds of the ocean, he was deeply disappointed that he couldn't feel the warmth of the virtual sun on his skin or the gentle breeze in his hair. He accused the developers of creating a half-baked sensory experience and demanded to know when they would release a patch that included realistic temperature and weather simulation. 19. The concept of a smart fridge was taken a bit too personally by one homeowner who complained that his new appliance was food-shaming him. The fridge, which tracked inventory and suggested healthy recipes, sent him a notification that said, "You are low on vegetables." He interpreted this not as a helpful reminder, but as a condescending judgment on his dietary choices. He wrote to the company that he did not appreciate his $10,000 refrigerator acting like his mother, and asked how to disable its passive-aggressive features. 20. Misunderstanding. A feature's name led to a high-flying complaint at an airport electronics store. A traveler bought a new tablet and, while waiting for his flight, asked a store employee how to make it fly. When the employee explained that devices can't fly, the man became irate, pointing at the box and shouting, "Then why does it have an airplane mode?" He genuinely believed the setting was meant to enable some kind of short-range flight capability for use inside the airport terminal, and he felt completely ripped off. 21. The owner of a digital photo frame contacted tech support because he believed the device had become self-aware and judgmental. He claimed that the frame, which cycled through his photo library, would intentionally display his most unflattering pictures whenever he had guests over. He was convinced it was maliciously choosing photos of him blinking or with food on his face to embarrass him. He wasn't asking for help with the settings. He wanted to know if they could perform an exorcism on the frame's software. 22. An employee sent a catastrophically embarrassing email to his entire company and quickly used the Recall This Message feature in his email client. A few minutes later, he stormed over to the IT department furious. He complained that the feature was broken because, even though the email was gone from their inboxes, his coworkers were still laughing and talking about what he wrote. He couldn't grasp that the feature only deleted the email. It couldn't magically erase the memory of it from people's brains. 23. The very concept of a fitness tracker was a source of profound disappointment for one man who demanded a refund for false advertising. He complained that after wearing the device on his wrist for a full week, he hadn't lost any weight or gotten any stronger. He was under the impression that the tracker was supposed to passively make him fit, not just count the steps he was already taking. The idea that he had to actually do the exercise himself was, in his view, a complete betrayal of the product's purpose. 24. A frequent flyer invested in a pair of high-end noise-canceling headphones to block out the world. At first, he was thrilled. The engine roar vanished. The crying baby disappeared. But then he filed a complaint. The issue wasn't that they let external sounds in, it was that they didn't block internal ones. He was furious that he could still hear his own unsettling internal monologue and anxious thoughts with perfect clarity. He accused the company of failing to deliver true silence and asked when they'd release a model that could cancel out his own brain. 25. A homeowner fully embraced the smart home revolution, only to complain that his new smart lights were incredibly dumb. His reasoning? The lights didn't automatically change color based on his mood. He genuinely expected the system to sense he was feeling a bit melancholy and shift to a soothing blue, or turn a vibrant red when he was angry. The fact that he still had to manually select the colors on his phone app felt primitive and was a complete failure to deliver on the smart promise. 26. The term cloud storage proved to be a major source of confusion for one less than tech-savvy user. She frantically called customer support in a panic one afternoon. Her problem wasn't a lost file or a password issue. She was worried because the weather forecast called for heavy rain, and she was terrified that all of her precious photos and documents stored in the cloud were about to get soaked and ruined. She even asked if they could please move her data to a server in a sunnier state. 27. A driver took his brand new car back to the dealership, insisting that the backup camera was installed backwards. When the technician inspected it, the camera worked perfectly. The man's logic, however, was not perfect. He argued that when he was in reverse, he wanted the camera to show him what was in front of the car, because that's the direction he was looking. The concept that a backup camera was designed to show him what was behind him was, in his opinion, a completely useless and dangerous design flaw. 28. An air fryer was returned to a home goods store by a woman who claimed it was completely non-functional. When the store manager asked what she had tried to cook in it, she replied with total sincerity, "Nothing." She believed the name air fryer meant that the device literally took the surrounding air and miraculously transformed it into crispy fried food. When she ran the machine with an empty basket and no French fries materialized out of thin air, she packed it up, convinced it was a defective scam. 29. A dedicated gamer filed a lengthy complaint with a game studio about the behavior of a non-player character in their latest fantasy epic. His issue wasn't a bug or a broken quest. He was personally offended by a virtual blacksmith who had a surly attitude and was unreasonably rude to his avatar. He demanded that the developers issue a patch to improve the blacksmith's customer service skills, arguing that he shouldn't have to endure such disrespect after paying $60 for the game. 30. An avid reader returned her new e-reader after just one day, citing a critical design flaw. It was missing the smell of old paper and ink. She didn't see this as a simple trade-off for the convenience of digital books. She considered it a defective product. In her complaint, she suggested the company develop scent cartridges that could mimic different book genres like musty library for classics or fresh printed thriller for mysteries, to provide a more authentic reading experience. 31. A one-star review for a popular wireless charging pad was left by a user who felt utterly deceived. His furious review read, "This product is a complete lie." His reasoning was that he was still forced to plug the charging pad itself into a wall outlet. He had expected a device that was truly 100% wireless, seemingly drawing power from the ether. The presence of any cord whatsoever, even one that didn't connect to his phone, was a deceptive marketing trick he simply could not forgive. 32. While on vacation, a tourist was overheard loudly complaining that his new smartphone's camera was broken. He was trying to take a picture of a beautiful mountain range using the panorama mode. However, he was simply holding the phone still, pressing the shutter button, and getting frustrated when it only produced a standard, narrow photograph. It never once occurred to him that to capture a panorama, he actually had to physically pan the phone across the scene. 33. Following a minor incident where a package was stolen from his porch, a homeowner complained to his video doorbell company. His issue wasn't with the video quality or the notification speed. He was genuinely outraged that the device didn't physically stop the thief. He believed the doorbell was supposed to act as some kind of deterrent force field or a powerful alarm that would repel intruders, not just passively record them committing a crime. He wanted a refund for his useless security system. 34. A man wrote a furious email to the manufacturer of his home blood pressure monitor, accusing the device of being faulty and insulting. The machine consistently gave him high readings, and instead of consulting a doctor, he decided to blame the technology. To prove his point, he had tested the cuff on his completely relaxed house cat. When the cat's reading came back significantly lower, he presented this as undeniable proof that the device was broken and held a personal bias against him. 35. After buying a cutting-edge AI writing assistant, a blogger demanded a refund because it wouldn't finish my novel overnight. He fed it one paragraph and went to bed, expecting a Pulitzer by morning. He accused the model of creative laziness for asking follow-up prompts instead of just doing the genius part. 36. The owner of a brand new 4K television called the manufacturer's hotline in a rage. He claimed the picture quality was appallingly bad and looked no better than his old standard definition set. After a lengthy troubleshooting session, the support agent finally discovered the root of the problem. The man had left the thin, protective plastic film on the screen, the one with all the logos and feature callouts, and was simply watching everything through a blurry, semi-transparent layer of static cling. 37. A man took his smart car to the dealership, complaining that the voice command system was disrespectful and incompetent. When the mechanic asked for an example, the man explained that he had been shouting, "Go, go, go," at the car while stopped at a green light, and it did absolutely nothing. The concept that he, the driver, still had to physically press the accelerator pedal seemed to completely defeat the purpose of having a smart vehicle in the first place. 38. An early adopter of food delivery apps filed a formal complaint after his order arrived slightly later than the estimated time. His grievance wasn't about the food being cold or the delivery driver getting lost. He was upset that the app's real-time map showed the driver's icon taking a route that, in his expert opinion, was inefficient. He included a detailed, hand-drawn map of what he considered the optimal path and demanded a refund for the psychological stress of watching the driver make a substandard left turn. 39. The manager of a tech retail store had to handle a bizarre return from a customer who bought a high-powered paper shredder. The man complained that the machine was broken because it had completely destroyed his important documents. He was under the impression that a paper shredder was some kind of temporary security device that would slice the papers up for safekeeping, and then magically reassemble them on command when he needed them again. He was horrified to learn that shredding was a permanent action. 40. A smart TV owner complained that the microphone LED kept lighting up when the TV was listening. Support explained that's the privacy indicator. He insisted the light itself was invasive and demanded a mode where the TV listens secretly so I can feel safer about my privacy. 41. The self-checkout machine at a grocery store became the target of a customer's fury. She lodged a complaint with the store manager because the machine's scanner had charged her for a plastic bag. She wasn't angry about the 10-cent fee itself. She was outraged that the machine didn't have the courtesy to ask her if she wanted a bag first. She expected the automated system to engage in polite conversation and was offended by its presumptuous and rude behavior. 42. An office worker complained to the IT department that her new ergonomic keyboard was causing her to make more typos, not fewer. After a quick investigation, the technician realized she wasn't using it correctly. She had seen the curved shape of the keyboard and assumed it was designed to be held vertically in her lap, like a high-tech accordion. She had been trying to type on it sideways for a full week before finally giving up and declaring it unusable. 43. A rideshare passenger filed a misconduct report because the driver's dashboard had too many screens. He said the navigation map, speed readout, and dashcam made him feel surveilled. Then asked the app to disable the camera facing the road because roads don't have privacy rights either. 44. An amateur astronomer bought an expensive digital telescope and immediately complained to the manufacturer. He was furious that no matter where he pointed it in the night sky, he couldn't see the famous Eagle Nebula or the Andromeda Galaxy. He accused the company of false advertising, citing the stunning, colorful images on the product's box. The support agent had the difficult task of explaining that those images were the result of long-exposure astrophotography, not what you see by simply looking through the eyepiece. 45. After a major social media platform updated its user interface, one user wrote a multi-page letter to their corporate headquarters. The letter wasn't about privacy concerns or new features. It was a detailed, passionate complaint about the platform's decision to change the like icon from a star to a heart. He claimed this change was a brazen and emotionally manipulative move that fundamentally altered the meaning of his endorsements and forced him to express love when he merely felt mild approval. 46. A customer called a company that sells smart thermostats, demanding to speak to an engineer. He was incredibly frustrated because despite setting his home temperature to a comfortable 72 degrees Fahrenheit, he still felt cold when he got out of the shower. He couldn't understand why his 21st century smart home couldn't override the basic laws of thermodynamics and prevent the natural cooling effect of water evaporating from his skin. He wanted a thermostat that could manage his personal microclimate. 47. A city dweller bought a top-of-the-line electric scooter for his daily commute and promptly lodged a complaint with the manufacturer. His issue? The scooter wasn't powerful enough to go up the 5 flights of stairs to his apartment. He was genuinely baffled that the device, which worked perfectly on flat ground, couldn't handle a steep indoor incline with steps. He argued that for the price he paid, it should have been an all-terrain vehicle, capable of seamlessly transitioning from the street to his living room. 48. A user of a popular video conferencing software filed a bug report because the "touch up my appearance" filter was, in his opinion, deeply flawed. He wasn't upset that it failed to smooth his skin or brighten his eyes. He was angry that the filter did absolutely nothing to improve the messy, cluttered room visible behind him. He expected the software to digitally clean his apartment, arguing that his personal appearance was being negatively impacted by the pile of laundry in the background. 49. The owner of a new advanced drone with a follow me mode returned it, claiming it was creepy and invasive. He had activated the feature, expecting the drone to keep a respectful distance while filming his bike ride. Instead, he became paranoid that it was stalking him. He complained that no matter which way he turned, the drone was always watching, and he felt its constant silent hovering was a gross violation of his privacy, even though he was the one who had turned it on. 50. An elderly man called his cable company's support line, irate that his remote control was broken. After a long and confusing conversation, the agent figured out the problem. The man had carefully wrapped the entire remote control in multiple layers of clear plastic wrap to keep it clean and protect the buttons from wearing out. In doing so, he had completely blocked the infrared sensor, rendering the device completely unable to communicate with the cable box. 51. A restaurant patron left a 1-star review for a popular eatery, but his complaint had nothing to do with the food or service. He was furious that the restaurant's free Wi-Fi was too slow for him to download a massive, multi-gigabyte video game while he ate his salad. He accused the management of throttling their bandwidth and providing a substandard digital experience, arguing that in the modern age, high-speed gaming-quality internet should be as essential as salt and pepper on the table. 52. A tech enthusiast proudly installed a new set of smart blinds in his home, only to complain that they were psychologically damaging. The blinds were programmed to open automatically at sunrise. However, he was a night owl who worked late and slept in. He claimed the blinds were aggressively cheerful and were forcing a morning person's agenda upon him. He felt personally attacked by the sunlight and demanded a software update that would allow the blinds to better understand his alternative lifestyle. 53. A woman brought her laptop to a repair shop, insisting that the built-in webcam was possessed. She claimed that every time she opened the camera application, a ghost would appear on the screen, mimicking her every move. The technician, trying not to laugh, had to gently explain that she was, in fact, just looking at her own reflection. She was so used to seeing filtered selfies on her phone that her own unedited real-time image was completely unrecognizable to her. 54. The concept of a wireless mouse was taken to its illogical extreme by a customer who complained that his new device kept falling off his vertical computer screen. He had seen the word wireless and assumed it meant the mouse should work without needing a surface, allowing him to simply point and click in the air, directly at the monitor. He was convinced the product was defective because it didn't have anti-gravity capabilities and still required the outdated use of a desk. 55. After buying a new digital camera, a tourist complained that all of his photos from a recent trip were blurry and unprofessional. He was especially upset about the pictures he took while riding a roller coaster. He couldn't understand why the camera, which had advanced image stabilization, couldn't produce a perfectly crisp, clear shot, while he was simultaneously hurtling through a corkscrew at 60 miles per hour. He blamed the camera's slow shutter speed for failing to freeze a moment of pure chaos. 56. A man filed a complaint against his new electric car, claiming the regenerative braking feature was stealing from him. He understood that the system converted kinetic energy back into battery power when he slowed down. However, he viewed this not as an efficiency feature, but as the car siphoning the energy that he had already paid for at the charging station. He wanted the company to disable the feature and let him keep all the energy he bought, even if it just dissipated as heat. 57. A cyclist ranted that his fitness app's "Congrats" push felt sarcastic after a slow ride. The notification read, "Great job," and he heard, "Nice try, champ." He wanted an emotionally supportive mode, where the app apologizes for metrics and ads. "No worries, the wind was rude today." 58. A customer returned a brand new digital kitchen scale, claiming it was wildly inaccurate. To demonstrate, he placed a single, uncooked grain of rice on the scale and was outraged when the display still read 0. He expected a device marketed for its precision to be able to measure the weight of an object that was virtually weightless. The idea of a minimum weight threshold was, to him, just another example of a company cutting corners and failing to deliver on its promises. 59. A father bought his son a high-tech, voice-activated toy robot for his birthday and promptly complained that it was teaching his son bad manners. The robot was programmed to respond to specific commands like "Robot, dance," or "Robot, tell a joke." The father was appalled that the toy did not require his son to say "please" or "thank you." He insisted the manufacturer was fostering a generation of entitled tyrants and demanded a firmware update that would make the robot ignore commands until they were phrased more politely. 60. A laptop owner claimed the webcam was biased because Face Unlock failed whenever he wore a green clay face mask. He accused the algorithm of discriminating against skincare routines and demanded compensation for the time his beauty regimen was technologically invalidated. 61. An avid coffee drinker complained that his new smart mug, which was designed to keep his beverage at a precise temperature for hours, was a total failure. When asked why, he explained that he had poured his cold brew into the mug and set it to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. He was absolutely shocked and disappointed when, an hour later, the coffee was still cold. He had completely missed the fact that the mug was a high-tech thermos, not a portable microwave. 62. A crypto-curious user bought a hardware wallet and raged when support refused to recover his forgotten seed phrase. He called the design hostile and asked for a secret backdoor only for honest people, then threatened to sue if the company didn't remember his password for him. 63. A player of an augmented reality game similar to Pokemon Go filed a furious complaint with the developers. He had driven over 50 miles to a specific park to capture a rare virtual monster that had appeared on his in-game map. Upon arrival, he was outraged to find that there was no actual physical creature waiting for him. He accused the company of orchestrating a cruel hoax and demanded compensation for his gas and the emotional devastation of realizing his prize was just pixels. 64. The belief that technology can replace talent was on full display when a man returned a professional-grade digital drawing tablet. He complained that the device was defective because his drawings were still terrible. He genuinely expected the expensive hardware and software to automatically transform his clumsy scribbles into masterpieces. When he still couldn't draw anything better than a stick figure, he blamed the tablet for lacking an artistic talent mode and not doing the work for him. 65. An international traveler lodged a formal complaint against his smartwatch company for a complete lack of situational awareness. He was furious that during a 10-hour flight, the watch repeatedly vibrated and told him it was time to stand up and move. He argued that the device's relentless nagging caused him immense stress, given he was in a pressurized cabin at 35,000 feet with nowhere to go. He demanded a firmware update that included a "currently trapped in a metal tube" setting. 66. The process of signing a legal document electronically was deemed inauthentic and soulless by one particularly disgruntled user. He complained that his e-signature, a clumsy squiggle made with his mouse, lacked the elegance and gravitas of his handwritten signature. He refused to complete the process, arguing that the digital version failed to represent his true personal brand. He insisted the company send a courier with a physical document and a fountain pen to capture his signature properly. 67. An AI chatbot user complained it refused to be helpful after it wouldn't generate lottery numbers guaranteed to win. He called safety filters anti-prosperity bias, arguing the bot owed him actionable wealth outcomes because he said please and used premium tokens. 68. A devoted pet owner left a scathing one-star review for a sophisticated multi-language translation app. Her reason? The app was completely useless for translating the various meows, purrs, and hisses of her cat Mittens. She was genuinely disappointed that the cutting-edge software could handle Swahili and Mandarin, but couldn't facilitate a meaningful two-way conversation about why Mittens was staring at a wall. She called it a glaring omission for a supposedly comprehensive translation tool. 69. For the grand finale, a streamer unboxed a VR headset and filed a claim because no one watched. He said the product page never warned that owning the tech doesn't auto-grant an audience. He demanded a refund for missing clout features and asked where to enable built-in viewers on. Confess. What impossible feature do you secretly want? Mind-reading phones, beer-fetching drones, self-esteem filters? Drop your most unhinged demand in the comments and defend it. If this circus made you smirk, hit like. If it made you feel seen, subscribe. More episodes arrive before your smart fridge nags you about vegetables again.